tracking storms this afternoon. Severe weather moving from Ontario into Quebec. We've already had tornado warnings. My name is Kim McDonald, along with meteorologist Melinda Singh. Thank you to those who have been posting photos and videos. We're going to go through a couple of them here because they are very impressive, Melinda. These are the storms that were tornado warned. Of course, when you get some rotation on storms, and you can see that in a radar. Sometimes you can see it with your own eyes, and then you get visual evidence. So some pretty impressive looking clouds. This is going to be one of those afternoons, Melinda, where people are really going to have to be weather aware and paying attention, and certainly indoors if there's a tornado warning.
Absolutely right. We've been tracking these storms the past few hours now. We still have one current tornado warning in effect for the Lachute region. It is not directly impacting the region of Lachute, or the city, or the town rather. It's up towards the north, impacting areas in this cusp here. I'll just quickly zoom in so we can get a little bit more in terms of those cities that are definitely impacted by that supercell-like system here. So this would be the Gore Township, Kim, as well as La Caroline. So if you are in these regions, definitely head indoors because the threat for a tornado is imminent.
Okay, if you are under a tornado warning, and obviously if you're watching us, you probably know if you are or not, and if one pops up, this is where you need to be in your home. So get into the lowest level of your home, a basement if you have it. If you do not have a basement, get into the lowest level, an interior room, away from windows, away from doors. Things like an interior bathroom, sometimes even a bathtub is the safest place to be. And here is a look. So within the severe thunderstorm watch in yellow, we have severe thunderstorm warnings in red, and in purple, that is the tornado warning. And with Environment Canada, sometimes they have rather large areas that are included in a tornado warning, even if it might be in one specific area. So you could be in the tornado warning, but you may not have something to worry about just because, as you were saying, Melinda, the area is so big, and Lachute proper, not impacted right now, but there's such a huge surrounding area that you may be in one of the spots that could be impacted by this particular storm.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's zoom in here and just take a quick look at what's ongoing. A cluster of storms across the Bancroft region, including Renfrew down towards Maynooth as well. So definitely see heavy amounts of rainfall in this band here and down towards the back end of it, Bancroft. Even Haliburton, you'll be getting into a little bit of some rain as well coming up. Across the Ottawa region down towards Manotick, you're looking at some rain as well moving through. And then parts of St. Jerome now going to be impacted by that supercell-like system we've been tracking with a tornado warning. So if it does continue with its rotation, the next part will be the St. Jerome region, which may be impacted by a tornado warning. Of course, Environment Canada, they deal with all of the warnings and watches. They issue them in a timely manner as well. And then down towards the north, a bit of a cluster of storms. We did see some rain, Kim, earlier across parts of the city of Toronto, slowly starting to make its way out of the region. Definitely a region that does not need any more rain.
No, this could be a record-setting July for the city of Toronto. Already 186 millimeters fell. Normally we get about 74 millimeters for the city, so we've more than doubled that. And now we're anticipating that this could be a record-setting July with the rain that is happening today. There is the area that we had in the risk map. So this is our risk map where we, anticipate the severe weather will be, and we can see that again, it's eastern Ontario, through Algonquin, Barry's Bay, Bancroft, Calabogie, so the Ottawa Valley, Renfrew, Cobden, Petawawa, Arnprior, and then across to the Quebec side as well, Manawagi, even as far as Mont-Laurier could be impacted today. So we've got a lot of warm, soupy air, a lot of energy in the atmosphere. This is warm front stuff for the areas around eastern Ontario and western Quebec. Cold front is behind all of this, and we had some heavy rain in places like Hamilton earlier as well, just downpours, and you knew it was going to be that kind of day, Melinda, because we could just feel the humidity in the air, and all we needed was that trigger.
Absolutely right, Kim. That warm front, like you mentioned, that's a trigger for our storms. We head into the next couple of hours across the Ottawa region, eastern Ontario, southern parts of Quebec, including the eastern townships. Now across the GTA, southern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, that cold front, that's going to be our trigger for storms as we head later into the evening hours. Like you mentioned, lots of atmospheric moisture. You felt it in the air, how humid it was. That's indicated here in the oranges, the reds, the yellows on your screen. But good news is some cooler air does move in behind this system as we head into your late day Thursday. High pressure rolls through as well, so definitely going to be clearing out. Another key ingredient for thunderstorms, Kim, is CAPE. Now, CAPE is convective available potential energy. It's basically daytime heating, which produces energy which allows the thunderstorms to gain vertical motion. It creates the updrafts, and it's what gives way to those strong, powerful storms when you see those heavier reds and oranges like here indicated on the screen. But another thing to keep in mind is the EHI, which is the potential for rotating updrafts, which is the wind shear in our atmosphere. It moves at different directions at different levels, which creates that spin, which is why we see those rotating storms and the potential for tornadoes. Now, as we continue into the next couple hours there, areas in the Bancroft region, I'll just quickly zoom in so we can see a bit more closer. The Ottawa region down towards Mont Laurier, even along the 401 corridor here. That's where we're tracking the potential for rotation as we head to the next couple of hours.
Going to interrupt you for a second because our Mark Robinson, our storm hunter, is out and chasing these storms. When you have a setup like the one that we have today, it's not surprising that Mark is out and on the job because this is his forte. Mark, looks like you're driving. Where are you right now?
Released them into the sky.
Hey, hopefully you can hear me because the signal's really bad up near the town of Perth on our way towards Carleton Place, Canada, and then Ottawa. We've been following this line of storms as we've been going, and we've sort of been watching it. It keeps popping these storms sort of right behind us. Right now, if you sort of can see ahead of us, it's very gray. Not too much, but I can't.
Okay, Mark, we're losing Mark, which is not surprising. He's on the road and the signal isn't great, but as he said that he's in the Perth area headed towards Ottawa. And of course, we are expecting a few more rounds of these storms before the day is over. Melinda, right now we're still looking at a tornado warning in Lachute. We've got a couple of questions. I'll send these your way, Melinda. Of course, I understand when people get nervous about a day like today. As soon as we start talking about tornado warnings, people get a little worried. And if you live in the city of Barrie, I can understand why you would be particularly nervous. You've been hit time and again. So someone wondered if there will be a tornado warning for Barrie. So that's question number one. And the other question, these are both from YouTube. Will there be any storms hitting Chatham later tonight? So two different places in Ontario, not in the warned area right now, but Barrie and Chatham, Melinda.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when we took a look at this the past few days and we were getting our risk map together to note you that we are looking at active weather for Wednesday, Barrie, you're in the severe possible criteria where we're looking at the strong winds, the large hail, the torrential rainfall. The tornado threat, yes, it is there. We are looking at a little bit of wind shear, but the more prominent regions with the more greater potential for rotation is in the areas in red. Barrie, I mean, you're not out of the woods. We're looking at heavy rainfall pushing in. I'll quickly just zoom in into a cropping where we can show the exact location here. So yes, we did see a few small cells move through, bringing in some rain along that boundary, but it looks like per this model that we are not really looking at more rain as we head into the evening hours, but there is a chance to see a thunderstorm that could bring in some heavy rainfall, some lightning as we head into the next couple of hours.
And Chatham in southwestern Ontario, let's take a peek at them.
Yeah, of course. So let's just find a movie that we can zoom into. All right, down here, down towards Chatham. Let's just quickly put on some names so we can take a look. Once again, it's behind that front. So here we are, down towards the south, Chatham, there you are. So you did see a few rumbles of thunder, a little bit of some rain earlier today. It looks like there is a slight chance, depending on the model here, that we could be looking at some rain, because it looks like St. Thomas, London, Kitchener will be looking at some around that 4 o'clock hour. It all depends if the moisture continues in a westward direction. So Chatham, you'll be getting into a little bit of that as well. And then pretty much looks like we're going to be clear as we head into the later half of your Wednesdays. And really nothing to worry about. Sarnia as well, you're looking at a little bit of a cell there developing into the evening hours. Once again, behind this front, we don't have that moisture. It's mainly going to be drying out. The Cape will also be on the low side of things, so it's not going to be as potent as we're looking at for parts of eastern Ontario.
Yeah, squeezing in between that warm front and the cold front is really tough. You know, in Toronto, heavy downpours we had earlier today. This is a look at what was going on, and again, in a city that has already had a tremendous amount of rain, we had more again today, and I believe we have Hamilton as well, taken from above. And yeah, the winds were coming in sideways again. Lots of rumbles of thunder. I was in Hamilton earlier, and it was just nonstop, really from about 11 a.m. till about 1 p.m. The storms would maybe take a break for a few minutes and then come right back in again. So hopefully you have a sturdy roof, your eaves troughs are cleaned, and you're not getting flooding, because I know a lot of people are concerned about that. You know, the area that we were talking about, eastern Ontario, western Quebec, we've had a tornado warning on both sides of the Ottawa River, Melinda. Now someone's asking, you know, about Ottawa. Why is Ottawa so bad? And I'm wondering if you mean, why is Ottawa in this severe risk today?
Yeah, for sure, Kim. We'll definitely dive into that a bit more as well. It's mainly all the ingredients. The ingredients are definitely just coming together in this region. We have that warm front. The warm front is a lot more potent than a cold front because we have the warm air. It's going to rise. We're seeing the warmer temperatures across parts of Ottawa as well. Actually, let's take a look if we can see the current temperatures here, Kim, across parts of Ottawa. So yeah, 23 degrees in Ottawa currently. 26 in Hamilton as well. So with this map here that shows the thunderstorm energy, you can see the heavier reds. That's definitely indicating lots of Cape to fuel those storms. And of course, another thing that we take into consideration is not only the moisture, the trigger, which is that warm front, and the instability, but for those rotating storms, that's what we look for when it comes to wind shear, which is different levels in our atmosphere, the winds at different wind speeds, at different directions, which allows that rotation. Now, areas across the Ottawa region into Mont Laurier, east of Bancroft, that's where we have the best dynamics for that once all the ingredients come together. We're already seeing a little bit of that in the Hawkesbury region, the Lachute region as well, where it looks like there was a potential tornado from radar signature. Okay,
temperatures drop with that heavy rain. I noticed earlier in Hamilton, the temperature was about 24, 25 degrees. Then the rain came in, it dropped to 19 degrees, and now it's back up to 26 degrees. And so that's what can happen. I mean, we still have a lot of heat in the atmosphere before that cold front goes through and clears everything out. In time for Thursday, where things should be much calmer across the board, at least in Ontario and western Quebec. Until that happens, we're still looking at this high humidity atmosphere, and again, the risk for severe weather as that cold front cuts into it. So it's that combination of warm air and cool air clashing, and then we get the storms. And we've had some significant wind gusts over the last few hours as well. We can see 50 plus in both Toronto and Hamilton. And yeah, if you're going to be under severe thunderstorm warning and certainly a tornado warning, those winds will pick up very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. I'm just pulling up the radar on a different monitor to see the actual velocity here, because parts of Ottawa, west of Ottawa, we could be looking at some rotation. If I can find it on the map here, a little bit of trouble. There we go. So I'll quickly pull it up here on our screen so we can show the audience what we're looking at in terms of the radar. All right, so 1 second here. So Ottawa, you're looking at a storm moving into your region very shortly. All right, let's take a look here. Current time, there you go. So this is what we're tracking here. A little bit of rotation just west of Ottawa. And of course, they're moving in a northeast direction.
No warning on it yet?
No, just severe thunderstorm warnings as of right now. But of course, Environment Canada is also keeping track on this. So this is just another area of concern, of course.
Yeah, we can see a lot of storms bubbling up in this area. You'd be on the red indicating heavy rainfall, and we can see that a lot of these areas are getting a whole lot of rain all at once. Hawkesbury is one of the areas that was under that tornado warning, I believe, earlier, just close by before it hopped over the Ottawa River and onto the other side, where we continue to have that tornado warning over Lachute, and we can see that cell departing that warned area.
Yeah, but still looks like we're looking at a little bit of a hook on that system as well. Very defined on radar, so I wouldn't be surprised if the St. Jerome area gets warned shortly as it continues to track eastward. Also looking at some heavy rainfall, Cornwall for you with this next system down towards Lancaster, Lunenburg as well. So some heavy rainfall is on the way to you shortly. And just this wide cluster here of storms across parts of Cottage Country, Bracebridge, Aurelia. You're looking at some rain as well moving through just north of Peterborough, a little bit of a cell developing, giving way to some rainfall. So definitely moving in an eastward direction along that cold front. So it looks like some more storms are definitely developing as well. And then just north of Kitchener. So rain impacting Kitchener in the next few minutes there. And then just north of Guelph as well. So not warned by any means, just looks like it's a little bit of rainfall. And then down towards the south, we're seeing St. Thomas, Fingal as well. So lots of rain across the province, Kim, but the more severe storms we're tracking are across the east.
And you know, when you get these downpours, it gets very tricky to drive in them. Your windshield wipers are going, but sometimes we're talking about very low visibility on the roads. We're talking about pooling and ponding. And, you know, despite the fact that you may not be in a severe thunderstorm warning, but you're getting these heavy downpours, it still can be dangerous. So just, you know, the heads up before you head out that that's the kind of road you may be encountering. And of course, when you're under that tornado warning, if you're under that tornado warning, even a severe thunderstorm warning, you should be indoors and in a safe spot, because yes, things can get very tricky. If you hear thunder, you want to be inside. Obviously, lightning is deadly, and you don't have to be necessarily, again, under a severe thunderstorm warning to experience lightning. And again, safety first, right? In a lot of places, I know this is the time of year, Melinda, where kids are playing baseball, they're playing soccer, all of those things are happening. And even when the rain has stopped, if you're still hearing thunder in the distance, you're not going to want to be out on those fields.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. Another thing that we've been talking about is the potential to see some large hail with this. Now, yes, you know, usually when Environment Canada issues statements include potentially 0 to a centimeter size in hail, which would be like pea size, dime size, or penny size. Sometimes with more severe criteria, we look at nickel size, quarter size. But ping pong and golf ball, not really common across Ontario and Quebec unless we have a very strong severe thunderstorm like a supercell that could potentially produce this. Up across northern Ontario, we do see that quite a lot, even parts of northern Quebec, but not really across parts of the south. Of course, it all depends on the dynamics, what kind of system moves in. Is it a QLCS kind of thunderstorm, or an MCS, or just a supercell? Once again, it all depends on the dynamics of the storm.
I think everybody's going to be an expert once watching the film Twisters, and they're going to know exactly what we're talking about, Melinda. We have some video from a few spots, including Brantford from earlier today, and the rain was coming down in that particular city. And the winds as well, very gusty. We were showing how the winds were topping 50 kilometers per hour in Hamilton. So Brantford is right next door, so not surprising to see this. And the video being taken from inside. And Stony Creek as well, adjacent to Hamilton. Really part of the Hamilton area, but not the city specifically. And again, you can see all of that green grass, Melinda, and that's just an indication of how much rain we have had this season so far. Out down the downspout it goes. My house, same thing. We've had some flooding issues at my home. Things seem to be working out okay, but this is certainly not the summer to have issues with a leaky roof or a problem with your basement.
Yeah, these are numbers here as of July 20th. Just on pace for potentially the rainiest summer for Toronto International Airport here back in 1991 to 2020. From that range, on average, We see over 200 millimeters for the months of June, July, August. We'll definitely get some more updated numbers as we head into the next couple of hours as well. But overall, it's been very wet. The soil is so saturated, especially from the trailing thunderstorms that we saw last week. Like Kim mentioned, heavy amounts of rainfall. The air is so saturated as of right now. That's why we're seeing those heavy downpours across parts of the nation's capital into regions of Quebec as well. We do have some more questions as well, Kim. Will there be thunderstorms in Belmont, Ontario? All
Okay,
right.
let's go to Belmont.
All right, Kim.
Oh, Chateauguay, we've got Apsley. A lot of these areas are in the Eastern Ontario region or Western Quebec, and I know that these people are most concerned because we have the warnings in place in this area, and this is the region where we had anticipated most of the severe weather to happen, despite the fact that we have pop-up thunderstorms right across much of Ontario in all different areas because of this warm front leading the pack and this cold front behind it. So in between, again, we're getting a lot of the action, but most of the potential for rotation. These big supercells, the best chance of that right now at least is for Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec, and currently one tornado warning, and that is for the Lachute area.
Yeah, you know, Kim, looking at that warm front moving through any area across Eastern Ontario, you will be seeing rain as we head into the next couple of hours. It will organize itself a bit as well. So this main line here, let's see if I can quickly draw on this so we can get a bit more of a good aspect. So here we go. This is the first line here that's going to continue to move east, impacting Mont-Laurier, Ottawa, Perth. You can see even heavy amounts of rain indicated on this, so definitely heavy downpours as well. And then as we head into the next couple of hours, the second line, this is what we're going to be tracking along that cold front. So Peterborough, Bobcaygeon, Bancroft towards Pembroke. That's slowly going to be moving behind it, impacting the same areas, even Cobourg, Picton, Kingston, Perth.
And this is the area that Apsley would be in because it's in the Kawarthas. A lot of people have cottages in this area. Apsley is the little town where everybody picks up their supplies if they're coming up to their cottage. And so, yeah, and this is an area that is prone to severe weather. So, and it looks like that you may not escape it today.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of lightning, some rainfall, and even a little bit of hail is also possible. But up towards central Quebec, we'll be looking at more storms, but it's going to be losing its dynamics, it's going to be losing the heat. So yes, a little bit more of the non-severe threat as we head into late Wednesday evening into the midnight hours or so.
Someone's wondering if the Don Valley Parkway is flooded again. I haven't looked at the Don Valley Parkway yet. We've been looking at the actual weather. I know that the Don Valley will flood on a dime. It doesn't take much, and of course we saw that last week. But that was a tremendous amount of rain all at once, and that quickly flooded the Don Valley Parkway as well as the Lakeshore and many of the 400 series highways. Will it happen today? I don't want to rule it out. When we're looking at this radar, quite a bit of rain happening.
Yeah, this was just over an hour ago. It moved in quick. It just popped up just north of the GTA and it moved right in. We saw heavy rain across Pearson International Airport, North York, downtown Toronto, along the Gardiner and the DVP as well. So it quickly moved out. We're not seeing rain currently, but yes, potentially there could have been a little bit of some pooling and ponding on the highways across that region.
Someone's wondering about Montreal. Will Montreal have tornadoes? Of course, we can't say specifically who is going to have a tornado and who is not. We can tell you about the atmosphere, where the risks are. To specifically say Montreal at this point, little early, but Montreal right now is in the risk for severe possible, not in the risk for severe likely. But again, you could see some pretty decent storms. Whether or not they're tornadoes, that still remains to be seen.
All right, Kim, I'll just quickly just talk about here the current tornado warning, which continues. It was updated as of 2:43 for the Lachute region, and the Environment Canada continues to track it. Look, with damaging winds, large hail, locally intense rainfall is also possible. We're definitely still seeing that. Oh, and it looks like it just ended as I was talking about it there.
Okay.
So currently no tornado warnings, Kim.
Good. All right. So that's the latest update. And there it goes. It just disappears off of the screen. These are automatic, these tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So now we're looking at a wide area under the severe thunderstorm watch, anywhere in yellow. And that just means that conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms to develop at some point. And watches are usually issued well in advance and stay around for a while. Now, within that severe thunderstorm watch, we have the warned area. That's all in red. So if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, it usually means that it is happening or is just about to happen. So happening or imminent. And if you're under severe thunderstorm warning, then again, the possibility is there for heavy downpours, damaging winds, large hail, frequent lightning, everything that you can expect with a severe storm. And with any severe thunderstorm, there is a possibility of rotation or tornadoes. At this point in time, no tornado warnings, but you want to take a severe thunderstorm warning seriously as well. They can be very dangerous. Again, they will pop up and disappear once the storm goes through. If you're getting multiple thunderstorms, then you may be under severe thunderstorm warning for a while. But again, most of you were likely in a watch early in the day, and now the warnings are happening.
Absolutely right, Kim. Looks like we have an update from Toronto Police Operations about the DVP.
Okay, perfect.
So DVP and the blower around 2:38. Water flooding on the highway, so you can expect delays. You can use an alternate route. It's impacting both northbound and southbound lanes. One lane is completely underwater, so yeah, definitely if you are in that region and you are traveling, definitely avoid it.
Yes.
Because definitely major delays are possible.
So that was an excellent question by one of our viewers asking if the DVP is flooded, because on a day like today, and when we looked at the radar, Melinda, we saw how heavy that rain was. It moved in quickly. And the problem is too, when we have an area that's all concrete, there's nowhere for that rain to go. And if it falls fast and hard and all at once, then we're looking at that possibility of the pooling water, the flooding on the DVP, and hopefully not much worse. I know a lot of people are still trying to recover from last week's flooding in their homes. Places like London, Burlington, Toronto all saw flooding Monday, Tuesday. And again, this is not what anybody needs.
Absolutely right. We have a few more questions. I'm just going to pull them up here on our screen so the viewers can take a look as well as we read through them and go ahead. Just taking a bit to load up. All right, question 1. I'm headed towards Ottawa around 8 p.m. from Kingston. Is it safe to travel? So it looks like you're going to be along the 401 corridor there. We'll quickly just pull in this map to show you. All right, so Kingston to Ottawa, definitely, I believe it's the different highway, 402, I believe. Okay, I'm not too sure which highway it is.
Nope.
But, but anyway, Kingston.
That's okay, I can't think of it either, but I've taken it many times. Travel the 401, then you go north towards Ottawa.
Right, so Kingston to Ottawa, looks like we're tracking that same cell moving through. That's going to bring in some heavy rain around 4, 5, starts to clear by 6, but then that next line starts to move in as well. So we're gearing that right around the time we're going to be traveling that's such a highway. So 8 to around that 10 p.m. as it quickly moves out. So our best bet is if you can travel a little bit earlier out before that 8 o'clock hour, between 6 to 8 would be ideal, or not after 10 after that heavy rain has moved through.
Yeah, the ideal time is not when you're leaving. So if you wanted to go at 8, that's probably, not the best time, as you were saying. Will Montreal have tornadoes? We talked about this, tornado and storm potential south of Montreal. Will we have hail in Ottawa? Well, it's not unlikely. We're certainly going to see those heavy downpours and strong winds, and Ottawa is at risk, obviously, today. It's in that severe likely area that we were showing earlier. And again, Ottawa, yeah, that's why our storm hunter is headed to Ottawa. It's never a good idea, good thing when you see our storm hunter. It's usually, I mean, he's a lovely man, but it usually means that things are happening and stormy weather is on the go.
Yeah, looking at some of these models here in terms of the hail, it looks like Ottawa is definitely going to be in one of the regions we're going to be tracking the potential for hail, as, like I mentioned earlier, the ingredients are just all coming together in the Ottawa region, especially the Ottawa Valley down towards the river. So definitely keep that in mind as well if you are in that region or heading into that area as we head into the next couple of hours. Another question here. what happened to the Bancroft tornado warning? Did a tornado touch down? We don't have any reports as of right now. Of course, the Northern Tornado Projects will go out and assess the region, and then we can see if they confirm a tornado or not. But it dropped a while ago. We did see a little bit of that signature for a hook on radar. We did see some very strong winds in that region as well. I believe it was around that 80 to 100 km/h winds that was being forecasted. But as of right now, in the cleared from a tornado warning cell, but we're still looking at that heavy rain moving in.
Someone was asking about hail. So Ottawa, North, Canada, Orleans, Gatineau, all in the severe thunderstorm warning, along with Smiths Falls, Perth, and eastern Lanark County. So all under the severe thunderstorm warning. And within the warning, they're talking about 2 to ping pong sized hail potential. Torrential downpours with 50 millimeters falling within an hour, 90 km/h wind gusts. And this is standard when they issue a severe thunderstorm warning. Those are usually the things that they say. So large hail, damaging winds, heavy downpours, enough to cause localized flooding. So all the ingredients are there, and yes, Ottawa North is in the actual severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning. Canada, Orleans, Gatineau, Smiths Falls, Perth, and eastern Lanark County. So just hugging up there against the Ottawa River. But we can see that there are plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings right now. The tornado warning ended. I still saw it there, Melinda. I think that might have been a timing thing, like just showing the warnings popping up over the last little while and then dropping.
Yeah, that's the past hour, and then this is the current one, unless I'm mistaken, and we have a new one.
All right, we've got Mark Robinson. Just going to interrupt you there for a second, Melinda, showing Mark's view right now. Mark,
oh wow.
Oh yeah, that's pretty impressive. You got a nice little shelf in front of you, Mark. Tell me how your travels have been and what you're looking for right now.
Well, my travels have been just fine, except for all the technical problems that we have, because that, welcome to do live TV. Yeah, right now we're in Carleton Place and looking just north into the storms that are sort of coming past the city. I'm going to pull over here so that we keep our good signal up and just stop before we get too close to this this system here. And we're just going to pull up right here, and you should be able to see that now. Yeah, right there. Now this is part of that line that's making its way towards Ottawa. And we've been following this, and we're literally sort of being chased up the road by a couple of decent storms. So the big question was, do I stop in Carleton Place and wait for the storms, or keep going up to Ottawa? Because those are sort of two main areas that we're seeing a lot of these storms. And the one that I was paying attention to is the one on sort of the western side of Ottawa. It does look like it hasn't quite kept that rotation, but it had it going for just a little bit. In and around sort of the Dunrobin area, so definitely something to pay attention to. It's still got some signature of a good downburst near Point Gatineau, but yeah, where I'm sitting right now, watching storms like that, you're looking towards the Amonte area, and then of course behind me comes the storms that are going through Lanark right now, and down near Perth. And yeah, this is sort of the area we're in now that sort of maximizes the rotation for these, or the wind shear for these storms, which could get them rotating. Right now, they're kind of a mess. Like, there's sort of storms all over the place. But there is that other line of storms that's building up already, sort of running from about Orillia up to Minden. And a lot of the models had that line of storms as being the more significant of these lines. But we will see what happens as they get closer to me. But for now, I'm going to go up and see that little appendage hanging down underneath that one cloud. I'm going to go see what that's doing.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea. We know exactly the cell you were talking about. Melinda was pointing it out on the radar just west of Ottawa earlier. We thought maybe this could get warned, but it died in its tracks. We'll be checking in with you soon, Mark, see what you capture, see what you find with that little tail. It's the opposite, I think, of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I don't think that's what Mark usually finds. So let's talk about this radar estimated rainfall. This is when you haven't measured the rain necessarily necessarily, but from radar, you might be able to at least estimate how much has come down. And we've got a couple of pockets there where it's pretty significant, Melinda.
Yeah, it looks like 30 to over 50 millimeters of rainfall downtown Toronto, along the Gardiner, parts of the DVP, hence why we're seeing that flooding that we talked about earlier, and then just a widespread shot of what's currently ongoing. Even parts of Hamilton, like you mentioned, Kim, heavy amounts of rainfall moved in across the region there earlier this afternoon, and then regions like Bancroft, we're looking at heavy amounts of rain, Ottawa as well, or just west of Ottawa rather, seeing the heavy amount of rain.
I went to get my oil change today, and of course, they have to leave the doors open for the garage. So the door was lifted open, and the rain was just flying in. I took a peek. I was, sitting in the reception area, opened the door to look, and the water was pooling, behind the cars where these guys have to work, and there's nothing they can do. Like the thing is wide open, and the rain is just coming in, and these were significant rainfall events and continue to be this afternoon. And it wouldn't be so bad if we needed the rain, Melinda, but so many places in Ontario don't need the rain. We've had plenty.
Yeah, the soil is so saturated, Kim, especially across parts of the GTA, but we had that flooding last week. But we do have another question, Kim. What is the forecast for Windsor, Ontario? So Windsor, you are in the severe possible criteria, meaning there is a threat for some severe storms later today into the evening hours. I will zoom into your region as well, because we were talking about Chatham recently. This is just one model run here, which shows that there is a potential for a little bit of a pocket of a storm to develop as we head into the evening hours. This one specifically is targeting Sarnia, but it looks like there is a chance for Windsor as well to potentially see some rain later today.
Yeah, you're not, even though we don't see it on that particular model, doesn't mean you won't get hit, but there's enough surrounding you that certainly the potential is there. When we were looking at these photos that were coming in, Melinda, just absolutely stunning. And this is one of the reasons why Environment and Climate Change Canada had issued tornado warnings earlier. And just for those of you who are following along and don't know, only Environment Canada can issue warnings when it comes to weather. So, severe thunderstorm watches, warnings, tornado warnings. We at the Weather Network, our forecasters put together risk maps to let you know ahead of time where we suspect severe weather to be. But if you're saying, okay, why are we under a warning or why aren't we under a warning? That's based on the forecasters from Environment and Climate Change Canada who are, from coast to coast.
And there's also specific criteria for different regions across parts of Canada. It's all listed on the Environment Canada website. But once again, like I mentioned, we just stick with the forecasting and relaying all of these alerts to you. Now, currently, we don't have any tornado warnings, which is the good news. Across the Lachute region that we were tracking, the rotation has now started to decrease or potentially just gone altogether. Just seeing that heavy rainfall. It's still a cluster of storms, but we're still looking at the heavy amounts of rain across parts of Smith Falls, Renfrew, North of Maddock, Ottawa as well. You're in a severe thunderstorm warning. So heavy rainfall still continues along the Ottawa River, especially as we head into the next couple of hours.
Yeah, this is the same area that's kind of been under this warning for quite some time. Areas surrounding this pop in and pop out, and I have to say, I think Mark said El Monte, and kind of like Del Monte, but I know that's Elmont. Just for our friends at Elmont who are thinking, what did he call us? He did make you sound very fancy with the El Monte earlier today. I just wanted to let you know that we know. Okay, so there's that heavy rain moving across. Again, no tornado warnings right now anywhere in the country, but certainly our fair share of severe thunderstorms, which could include large hail anywhere from toonie to ping pong sized hail. The heavy downpours, we're talking about 50 plus millimeters in a short period of time. The gusts, 90 kilometers plus. We have seen some wind gusts recorded 50, 55 kilometers per hour. But, when it comes to these weather stations, they may not necessarily be picking up the strongest wind gusts. Melinda, this could happen in between weather stations or, or certainly in between hours as well, between the top and the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, we have to look at the specific stations here, but just a broad overview. We've been seeing some stronger winds down towards Toronto, Hamilton as well. Ottawa, as we head into the next few hours or so, in that individual station, we'll be able to pick that up. I don't think I have a cropping here to show that, but as you can see, we are experiencing some strong winds, especially as those thunderstorms continues to move through. Temperatures as well still continue to be into the mid-20s here for the afternoon. The humidex, we're also seeing that because it's such a potent and humid atmosphere, Kim. We definitely felt it earlier today across parts of Ontario and Quebec. Lots of humidity. It's helping to fuel these thunderstorms and just give that extra punch.
It really feels tropical, and it felt like that first thing in the morning. You know, I was out before 9 a.m. and it was, you could just feel it in the air. And when you have that, and certainly a front coming through as the trigger, you know that you're going to get some significant storms. Now, even just looking at this map, when you see the blue behind the cold front, so the warm front is red, the cold front is blue, and so behind it, you're seeing this blue air. That's just an indication of not only cooler, but drier conditions as well. So once we get beyond this stormy day, this hot, humid, and stormy day in Ontario and Quebec, things are going to be much more stable in the atmosphere, and we're looking at a pretty decent long-range forecast after today.
Perfect. Now, we do have another question, Kim. How about Laval? So I'm assuming you're asking if we're going to be seeing thunderstorms into this region. Just remind me, Kim, exactly where we have Laval.
So Laval is a suburb of Montreal, and it is right now in the orange area. So still under that severe possible for Laval, not necessarily severe likely, but yeah, that's the...
There we go.
You found it. Okay, very good.
All right, so we are going to be looking at those thunderstorms moving in into the next few hours, Kim, like we just talked about, severe possible. A bit of a break, then we'll see that secondary one move through. So 2 rounds of thunderstorms are expected around that 7, 8, 9 p.m. Heavy rainfall is expected with this as well, even a little bit of some hail possibly from 7 to 9, and then it starts to clear out after 10, but there is still a little bit of some moisture behind the system, so we could potentially be looking at this developing after 10 p.m. and then moving east. Looks like this model is breaking it up, so it's entering drier air, but there is a potential for it to continue.
Okay, we have our storm hunter back again. We'll see what he discovered on his travels. I know, oh boy, things got real dark. It looks like it's in the middle of the night. It's 3:45 Eastern in the afternoon. And Mark, I'm concerned about how dark it is where you are right now.
Yeah, you know, Kim, I think I'd be concerned if there was a lot more lightning. This is one of, like, there's 2 areas of fairly strong storms. One a little closer to Ottawa and one a little closer down to Canada. We're sitting right in the middle. So this is the edge of the line you can see there. I'm getting a little bit of rain on me, but not too much. But yeah, no lightning. That's the one thing that I've noticed with this part of the line, which means that I can stand out here, not be too concerned. But if we do start hearing lightning going, or thunder going, I'll be inside the car as quick as I can. But definitely what I have noticed is a real massive increase in the area of where lightning is happening, where the thunderstorms are happening, and that's sort of all throughout Ottawa. Now that also, there's a good and bad about that. It does mean there's a tremendous amount of rain falling in and around Ottawa, but at the same time, it means that we're not getting like a concentration of all the updraft, all the energy into one storm, which is how you can get supercells. Rain definitely increasing now, so I think I'm going to jump back in the car so I'm not completely soaked.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Yeah, we have now Ottawa South and Richmond Metcalfe that are under the severe thunderstorm warning. So those have just been added to the warning. Again, Ottawa South, Richmond, and Metcalfe. That is added to Ottawa North, Canada, Orleans, Gatineau, Plevna, Charlotte Lake, Western Lanark County, Smiths Falls, Perth, Eastern Lanark County. So all of those areas in the east. It has ended, though, for Caladar, Bannockburn, Bon Echo Park, Renfrew, Arnprior, and Calabogie are all out of the severe thunderstorm warning. The line of storms is located from Galetta to Arden, moving northeast at 50 kilometers per hour. So these are very fast-moving storms. You know, once they're close, they're going through quickly. that is good news when it comes to rain. Sure, you get a lot of heavy rain all at once, but if this is a slow-moving storm with a lot of moisture attached to it, that's when you start to get the flooding, or when you get one storm following the other, and that's what we call training storms. So to have a storm pop up, get out of there quickly. Yes, it can be damaging. Yes, it can be dangerous, but the sooner it's out of there, the better it is, Melinda.
All right, Kim, we are watching two areas of possible rotation on radar. So it's actually just east and west of Ottawa. So these are the regions here. I'll just quickly highlight it so we can take a look. So we got this one here, and then also this region here. So the one to the right on your screen of Ottawa, these are impacting Hammond, Chinny, if I'm saying that correctly, Kim, you can definitely correct me. Clarence Creek, St. Pascal Baylon. We're looking at some, definitely some hail in there, a little bit of rotation as well. And then we'll quickly just go to the west of Ottawa, where this is impacting just north of Point Gatineau.
Yeah, can Manny bring up this screen as well? Oh, you can. Okay, you're just looking at these storms and verbalizing it. Sorry, everyone. I know you're looking at the one map and we're looking at the radar, but unfortunately we can't bring that up. But those are the areas that that we're talking about where there could be some rotation. Severe thunderstorm warned right now. Not tornado warned, but if you are in these areas, we're suggesting now is the time to take cover. Obviously, if you're under heavy rain and strong winds, you're likely taking cover already as it stands. But I'm just saying that if you live in this area, these storms are moving very quickly. You want to get indoors as quickly as possible. Hopefully you're watching us from indoors in a safe place and you don't have much to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely right. It looks like they're going to continue to move in a northeast pattern. Does it say how fast they're moving as per the Environment Canada statement?
Yeah, they're saying 50 kilometers per hour.
So they're not that
moving
fast.
Northeast.
Yeah, so a bit more on the slow side. So we're going to continue to track the storms moving. So places like Gatineau are definitely, you're not seeing rain right now, but in the next few minutes it will be starting to pour. A little bit more heavier as well. Some lightning associated with these storms, as we can see on the second monitor here. But that's the two regions we are tracking the potential for some rotation. Heavy amounts of rainfall is possible. And then this cluster here, just west of Carleton Place, north or just south rather of Denby, north of Caladar, where we're seeing another cluster. Oh, here we go, Mississippi Station, Mountain Grove, Levant Station. So if you are in these areas, heavy rain is possible, Kim. Severe thunderstorm warned as well. So that's just the main clusters we're tracking with a little bit of a lot more moisture as well. Even behind this cold front, heavy amounts of moisture. So really, you're also seeing moisture west of Deep River up towards Val-d'Or and even parts of the north. Here, I'll quickly zoom in. Timmins, Gogama, you're seeing some heavy rainfall.
See, this is what we're talking about today. There's such a widespread area of storms, and again, no warned storms to the north, but heavy amounts of rain. And then we move south. Anywhere in red is under a severe thunderstorm warning. The watch extends all the way back around the Golden Horseshoe through Niagara as well. The watch means that we have the potential for severe storms, and you may be getting some downpours, but they may not be reaching the severe criteria that Environment and Climate Change Canada goes by. So when they issue warnings, it's because the hail has to be a certain size, so toonie to ping pong. The rain has to be 50 millimeters or more, the winds 90 kilometers per hour or more, that kind of thing. So they follow these rules so they don't issue warnings for every single storm that goes through, but you may be experiencing a thunderstorm that brings heavy downpours but may not necessarily be warned.
Another region we are tracking some heavy rainfall, a bit of lightning as well. It's not warned as of yet, just severe thunderstorm watches, is Brampton, north of Vaughan, including Kleinburg, the Bramalea region down towards Georgetown. Heavy rain is over top of you right now. Haltonville as well. And then just north of Morriston. So if you are in these regions, heavy rain is in your region, and that line is going to be tracking a little bit southward. So areas like Milton, north end of Mississauga, Vaughan, north Etobicoke, the Rex Taylor region, you're going to be seeing some heavy downpours even around the airport as well.
Okay, that's the next line that's moving through, and we can see it on the radar. Right now, we're not saying that a warning won't be issued, but we're just paying close attention right now. And of course, you know, these things move in pretty quickly, but you can tell. I mean, you look outside and when the sky goes really dark, that's what happened in Hamilton earlier today. All of a sudden, by 11 a.m., the sky was a very dark gray, and within minutes, the downpours and the winds began. So, I mean, I think if you're watching this live stream, then you're probably pretty weather aware. You're into the weather, and you know these things already. We're going to jump right over to the other side of the country, into Western Canada, where we have now severe thunderstorm watches in place as well.
Yeah, these are just north of Edmonton, including Whitecore, Bonnyville, even parts of Prince George, so central regions of BC. We are looking at a little bit of storms. Unfortunately, the radar coverage does not extend into these regions across the north. We will be looking at satellite and, of course, keeping you updated here. We did have the threat when we looked at it yesterday, the threat for some storms. I'll quickly bring up our map here for the west. The Edmonton region, north of it as well, that's where we're looking at severe possible storms, but a wide part of BC, Alberta, even north in the Northern Territories, Yellowknife also looking at threat for some severe storms come late day Wednesday.
Yeah, so these right now, what we're showing is our risk map, not a watch or a warning map, but it is exactly where we had anticipated storms, and it looks like Environment Canada also following suit and issuing those watches where they anticipate some storms may be bubbling up. This is an area that needs the rain, certainly, an area that's been plagued by very hot, very dry conditions. Wildfires have become a real issue in the last few days, and of course smoke. And we know that the air quality has really deteriorated across the board in places like Red Deer, for example, Fort McMurray, and now this heavy rain is in the forecast, Melinda, so that's going to be good news.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. Not only we're seeing the heavy smoke, the wildfires across parts of northern BC, but also across northern parts of Alberta, and we've also been seeing a lot of that smoke in through parts of Ontario the past few days. Not as heavy as they've been tracking it across the north, but it's still a little bit of smoke to make our skies a bit more on the hazy side.
And those red sunsets and red sunrises, if you've been noticing that, and I've seen a lot of people on social media capturing these beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and the reason we have so much color and so much pink and orange is because of that high level smoke that's been wafting across the country.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. Now, as we head into Thursday, that same low pressure system, that warm front and the cold front, it's going to be moving into parts of eastern Quebec and the maritime provinces for Thursday. So not looking at severe likely storm, but severe possible is on the cards there. Some strong winds, large hail, torrential rainfall into your Thursday afternoon into the evening hours. So Grand Falls, Rimouski, those regions looking at the threat for some severe storms possible by late day Thursday. But parts of Nova Scotia, western end of PEI as well, could be looking at some rainfall, even some non-severe storms for Thursday.
Okay, yeah, this system has to go somewhere, and it's headed your way. So this is the time that you need to be prepared. So we're just giving you the heads up. We can see what these storms are doing already in Ontario and Quebec. Not necessarily that you're going to have tornado warnings, but there is that risk of severe weather, certainly around the mouth of the St. Lawrence, so like you said, Rimouski down to Grand Falls. Also parts of northern New Brunswick, parts of eastern Quebec in that orange area. Okay, is there any storms heading to Chateauguay? So we're back into Quebec for this one. And again, I mean, a lot of this area is under either severe possible or severe likely.
Absolutely right, Kim. I will quickly just zoom in here until we can see it show up on the map. Oh, there we go. A lot of zooming in here.
Yeah. We're getting real specific.
I don't see it populating, but we know exactly where it is. Along the Montreal River, right in this area. Am I correct? I think so. Oh, there we go. Perfect. There we have it.
You got it.
All right. So we are seeing that rain right now, and that will continue into the next 2 to 3 hours. bit of a break. It's a very similar setup like Montreal and Laval, like we said, around that 7, 8 o'clock hour. We're looking at the next line. This model is putting in heavy amounts of rainfall. So yes, definitely, like you mentioned, keep that in mind as we head into that 7, 8, 9 o'clock hour. Clears out. There's a chance to see some pop-up storms in nature as well behind that frontal boundary.
Yeah, when we're looking at that rain, it's fine if you're in a nice sturdy home or in an apartment building, but people sometimes are camping at this time of year. It's July, obviously. This is a beautiful part of the country, Eastern Ontario, Western Quebec, a lot of people outdoors. So yeah, this rain is really going to be problematic when it comes down. When we're looking at the purples in there, the extreme amounts of rain. So hopefully not lasting very long, but you won't be able to miss it when it comes down. So that's going to be problematic. There again is our risk map showing where we anticipate the most severe weather. And when we're saying that, we're talking about the potential for rotation on these storms. We know that other parts of Ontario have seen heavy downpours and the gusty winds as well, but these are the areas where we're looking at the potential for tornadoes to develop, large hail, of course, accompanying them, those damaging winds and the heavy rainfall too. So this is, a classic setup for storms. Hot, hazy, and very humid conditions, and then we've got a low moving through, bringing first the warm front and then followed by the cold front.
Right, now we have another question here. Will Orleans get hit with hail and damaging winds? So this is just outside of the nation's capital in this region here. You're looking at rain coming in as we hit, oops, sorry, to zoom back in here for you. All right. Orleans in this region here. Unfortunately, the name is not populating, but we're looking at rain moving through. There's a chance for a little bit of hail as indicated by the Environment Canada statement where it said nickel to ping pong size hail is possible. Damaging winds, of course, is going to be one of the main topics here with the heavy rainfall, especially as the system is a bit more on the slow moving side. That will be another main threat. And then as we head into the evening, just after 8, 9, starting to end by 10 o'clock, the next round of rain for you.
Okay, let's talk about driving in the rain. That's what our storm hunter Mark Robinson is doing right now. We're going to go to him live as he travels in this stormy area in Eastern Ontario. Mark, you've been in plenty of storms like this. You've been in a lot of scenarios like this. So you have the experience. Let's chat a little bit about how to drive in weather like this.
Yeah, keeping it slow is always the best thing. Like the guy going past me is probably going way too fast. One of the big issues that you can get with, especially with storms like this, is you can get a rather sudden, flooding event on the road. So you can have a real problem when you hit that. The other issue you can have, of course, is visibility, especially when you're around the 18-wheelers. They kick up a lot of spray, and it's very difficult getting past them. So if you feel unsafe, make sure you're in that right-hand lane, and ensure that you're not you're driving at your comfortable speed. You can see right now we're just headed into one of the cores of the storm. I'm going to get the windshield. You don't see my windshield wipers running all the time because I've got Rain-X on the windshield, which allows it to bead the water to bead and sort of get blown off as I'm driving. But definitely one of the big issues and one of the biggest dangers you've got when you are in storms is the driving. So I take it easy, and also make sure that my tires are prepared for it. I mean, that's a big thing. Make sure that your tires, you switch them over to from winter tires to summer, depending on the season, and just make sure that you are prepared for whatever is going to get thrown at you by these storms.
Well, I filled up my tank today. I got an oil change, and with my oil change, Mark, I got a new pair of windshield wipers for free. So I feel like I'm great. Now I need that Rain-X because it looks like it's working like a dream for you.
Oh yeah, Kim, I use it I put it on once a day. Whenever I'm chasing, I'll put it on in the morning and then put it on again. But I do recommend that you do use your windshield wipers. Yeah, so I'm glad you got new ones. I change my windshield wipers every single season. So that just gives you an idea, but I also probably spend more time in more storms than most people. So.
Yes, that's true. You're
that
in
too.
that active weather. Thanks so much, Mark. We'll be checking in with you shortly. That's our storm hunter, Mark Robinson, in Eastern Ontario, driving into the storm, at least into the rain right now. It doesn't look like a lot of lightning on that particular storm, but there are areas of concern right now, Melinda.
Yeah, we're tracking a little bit of a squall line developing, so I'm just going to quickly draw it out for you to the best of my abilities with this radar here on the screen. So this is a little bit of that squall developing, which means we're looking at some stronger winds. So places, Kim, if you just want to mention those names along that boundary there.
Yeah, so anywhere along this, we're talking about storms in Carp, in Dunrobin, but moving towards Aylmer, Canada, Stittsville. So you're ahead of the storm right now, but that rain is coming down in Elmont, Appleton, Carleton Place, Innisfil to the south, Lanark to the south, Fallbrook, heavy amounts of rain. And then again, if you're in places like Franktown, this is coming towards you, Munster, Richmond, Stittsville, and Canada. So all of these areas just ahead of the storm, and then behind it, you're already in it. So you don't need me to tell you, but these are areas where it's going to be very tricky to drive. And yes, we hope you have a decent pair of windshield wipers if you are actually planning to travel outside, but hopefully people are staying in if they can. More people work from home now, Melinda. They don't have to have that white knuckle drive in these storms if they don't want to. So that's good news. Their biggest concern right now is probably that the power stays on.
Yeah, the power for sure, and definitely it's still rush hour as we head into the next hour, and that is when that squall line is going to be moving right over top of Ottawa. So if you can, leave work a little bit early. If you can't, stay a little bit late to just avoid the heavy rain and the strong winds that are going to be coming out from the squall line moving through Orleans. You'll be looking at that in about an hour and a half. It's slow moving. Even places like Barronville along the highway there, you're going to be tracking heavy amounts of rain and wind in the next 45 to 60 minutes or so.
Okay, so yeah, if you find yourself anywhere along that line, this is the time to stay indoors. We were talking about the fact that, this is going to be ill-timed for that drive home for those who don't work from home, and so this could be problematic. Kids aren't in school, so we're not worried about picking up kids from school, but we are concerned about things like after school, soccer, baseball, t-ball, whatever your kids are into, likely going to be canceled, either because storms are moving in and you're concerned about the lightning. I know that a lot of these things get canceled because of that, or because the ground is too saturated, because you've already had heavy rain, and then, officials make the call that it's just too dangerous to be running around on soaking wet grass.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. We'll just quickly pull up here. This is what we're basically tracking for the risk for severe likely storms. We did have a few tornado warnings earlier across Prescott, Russell, Lachute region as it crossed over the Ottawa River, but any area here in red, that's where we are keeping our eyes on. All meteorologists across the Weather Network and even Environment Canada, as they are issuing the current alerts I'll be showing you here shortly. But this is our forecast. Any area in red from Mont Laurier down towards Peterborough up towards Mattawa, we are tracking severe likely storms. Yes, 1 or 2 tornadoes are also on the board here. Torrential rainfall, large hail, upwards to ping pong sizes possible, and strong winds, especially as that squall line is going to be moving through. Quick look here at Kim at the current severe thunderstorm watches and warnings across Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah, if you're in the warned area, you're in Ottawa South, Richmond, Metcalfe, Ottawa North, Canada, Orleans, Gatineau, Plevna, Charlotte Lake, Western Lanark County, Eastern Lanark County, Perth, and Smiths Falls. So those areas are all currently under that severe thunderstorm warning. I don't have the Quebec side with me at this moment in time, but we can see adjacent areas across the border, across the Ottawa River. We're also looking at a few warnings there as well. Montreal not in a severe thunderstorm warning, but is in a severe thunderstorm watch. So all that yellow area and the entire area painted in yellow is a watch, meaning that conditions are favorable and that a storm may develop where you are because we have all the ingredients. But in the red area, that means, yep, the ingredients have come together, that storm is happening or is imminent. And there we go. Severe thunderstorm watch, potential for severe weather to happen. Stay alert. The warning, severe weather is happening in your area. It's time to act. I remember someone writing before, severe thunderstorm watch, heads up. Severe thunderstorm warning, head down. So that might, help you remember a little bit. I know a lot of people, even today, I know we're so entrenched in all of the weather vernacular, Melinda, but some people still get confused, the watch versus the warning. So that's why we like to repeat it. One is like, yeah, you know what, things could happen today, and a warning is like, okay, things are happening.
Yeah, of course. We're also talking about some of the thresholds for a severe thunderstorm warning. So some of that would be wind gusts over 90 kilometers per hour, hail 2 centimeters or larger in diameter, and heavy rainfall. Now, in that small box, I'll just quickly read it out here. So the provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, rainfall has to be 50 millimeters per hour. For BC, Atlantic Canada, and the territories, it has to be 25 millimeters per hour for them to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for that region. And then the interior dry sections of BC, that is around that 15 millimeter per hour.
Yeah, so it depends on where you are. It's subjective as to what your threshold is. It looks like we have some video here as well. I think we're going to show Manny. Yeah, we've got, plenty of video has been coming, and this looks like it may be from our storm hunter. Yeah, the skies are looking very ominous. Obviously, when you see a sky like this, it's time to get indoors. This is the reason, too, that we've had the severe thunderstorm warned areas in eastern Ontario. We've had some heavy downpours as well. This was in Toronto earlier today, and we've had the officials speaking about the Don Valley Parkway flooded again with this heavy rain that moved in pretty quickly too. You can see how green everything is. I know we have video from Hamilton, from Brantford, Stony Creek, just across the GTHA in general. There's Hamilton, some strong winds, at least 50K plus in some cases. And again, everything's so green because it has been an exceptionally wet July. Really, any time from June 1st to end of August. Not that it's been a particularly bad summer, but we've had our fair share around southern Ontario of heavy downpours. We're on the storm track, so we're not missing many of the storms that are coming through. Plus, it's just been so hot. So when we're getting all of this heat moving up from the south, we're getting humidity as well, this Gulf moisture, and then we get these low pressure systems. And when the atmosphere pops, boy, that rain really comes down. And today is no different, Melinda.
Yeah, let's shift gears here and head back over to Western Canada. We're also anticipating some active weather across parts of central BC and Alberta, north of Edmonton, the Whitecourt region, Bonnyville, and then the Prince George area, and just up along the Elbow region, the border of Alberta and BC. Severe thunderstorm watches are in place, issued by Environment Canada. As per the radar here, you can see a few cells moving through across the region. There is good news and bad news when it comes to severe storms or even just thunderstorms in general across parts of the West, especially in the wildfire regions, because the good news is it's bringing in that rainfall. Some of it might be beneficial, Kim, to the ongoing wildfires, but another hazard, the downside, is the lightning aspect associated with any thunderstorm.
Yeah, it seemed pretty obvious that the Jasper wildfire started as a result of a lightning strike. There had been a severe thunderstorm at about 6 p.m. on the day that that fire started, and then by about 6 hours later, the area was being evacuated because of a wildfire that blew up very quickly and started to spread very quickly. It's in a national park. That makes things a little bit tricky as well. But thousands of people had to leave in a very short period of time, not only from the town of Jasper, but the many tourists who come up to that area, people who are in the backcountry, people who are hiking and camping. But they got it all done very efficiently, very quickly. There are no reports of anybody being injured, thankfully. So that's good news. But again, yes, we love the idea that heavy rain is on the way. We don't love the idea of lightning within these thunderstorms because, most of these fires are started one of two ways: lightning or human caused, which means normally accidentally causing a fire by not putting out your fire properly. If you're having a campfire, perhaps you're out on an ATV. If it's dry, a spark can start a fire. People hopefully never doing this, but throwing a cigarette out their window. So these are all many ways that wildfires can start. What we were interested in now, of course, is how we're going to put them out.
Absolutely right. Now for Wednesday, the main area of concern, Kim, is within the Edmonton region, a bit more towards the north. Any area in yellow has to start to see non-severe storms. They still have a bit of lightning on them, but like we just mentioned, it does not meet the criteria for severe thunderstorms. Up towards the north, Yellowknife, even Black Lake has a threat as well. By Wednesday overnight, we're looking at parts of Edmonton, North Dakota Lake, Whitecourt as well, and then regions like Fort Chipewyan, Fort McMurray, Cree Lake, north of Red Deer has a threat to see a little bit of some non-severe storms in nature. But by Friday, looking at some well-needed and well-welcomed rain arriving across northern Alberta.
Yeah, this is an impressive amount of rain. Some areas seeing upwards of 100 millimeters. Now, this is over a couple of days because this low is going to park itself there. We wish, too, that it could spread a little farther east. It is spreading across the northern prairies, but you're not seeing nearly as much as northern Alberta is at this time. But it's exactly what we need. So we need that heavy rain on the areas that are too dry, the areas that are very wildfire prone. Help out the fire crews there a little bit with the weather. It's very hot in southern Alberta. We've been seeing temperatures in the high 30s. Calgary has seen, I believe, about 8 days in a row of 30 degrees plus. So heat is a real factor. Now let's make our way back to Ontario, where we are seeing this long stretch of heavy rain.
Yeah, Kim, absolutely right. I'm just going to quickly put on some names for us here. Our meteorologists on the outside are updating us on the weather across parts of the GTA. So we're looking at some heavy downpours moving in. All right, so got the names on. Let's take a quick look here. Just trying to make this a bit more clear.
While you're showing that, I was just going to say from Hayworth to Almont, those storms are moving at about 50 kilometers per hour, and they've had nickel-sized hail along with the heavy rain. We'll get to that in a moment, but yeah, back to the GTA. This is the line that you were looking at earlier, Melinda. Boy, it's really squalling out here, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. This is along the cold front, Kim. So now impacting Milton, down towards Brampton as well. Put on a little bit more names so we can just get some more clarity here. Impacting streets for the next few hours. Heavy rain over the airport, Pearson International Airport, South Brampton as well, Malton, Rexdale, North York, Thornhill as well. So impacting, here is the 400 as well. So we're looking at a little bit of some heavy rain along those regions. Stouffville, Markham, Uxbridge, north of Port Perry. You're seeing heavy rainfall. This is going to continue slowly moving down south. I don't believe they are warned by any means, but let's just quickly double check here with the ongoing alerts. Yep, they're not warned, so we're not meeting that severe criteria, but this is what we are tracking across parts of the GTA.
Okay, we'll jump east again. We were talking about the heavy rain that we've been seeing in southern Ontario just now, but we're also seeing that heavier rain in eastern Ontario, where we have our storm hunter, Mark Robinson. Mark, certainly no lack of rain in Ontario. I tweeted out today that I wish I could share it with people in the West, the people that need it, but it has been an extraordinarily wet July across parts of southern Ontario.
Oh yeah, Kim. I mean, that's the one thing that we've dealt with this year. I mean, it's maybe not so great for people that feel they have to cut their lawns all the time. But I can tell you, the farmers are pretty happy because it just feels like everything's advanced a little bit. The corn is already quite high. But of course, you're dealing with this kind of rain when you're driving. It's kind of what it looks like right out the front in my front windshield right now. In Canada, headed towards Ottawa. And you can see the lightning is picking up, definitely sort of within the core of this storm. And this whole thing is hitting, like you can just see the amount of cars going both directions in and out of Canada. And of course, this is coming right at rush hour. Anywhere from 4 to 6 o'clock. That's when everything slows down. Of course, that's when this line of storms is hitting, and it's very, very heavy rain. I'm not seeing serious rotation potential or anything like that at this point, but definitely the same thing we just keep seeing in southern Ontario and eastern Ontario, which is just those heavy, heavy, heavy rainfalls. So do expect some ponding and pooling on roads. Be prepared for that. If you have to walk somewhere, make sure you've got an umbrella or a rain jacket, or you know how to run really, really fast. But either way, yeah, everything's going to be just a little bit slow in and around Ottawa today and this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I've been outside a few times in these rainstorms, and your pants just get soaked too. Sometimes a raincoat is not enough unless it's going down to your ankles, because some of this rain comes in sideways. It's just absolutely drenching. It reminds me of a tropical environment somewhere much farther south, but it's been a tropical kind of summer in southern Ontario. We anticipated it to be warmer than average. We weren't sure where the storm track was going to go. Would it sneak into the region, or would it stay stateside? It looks like it has moved right over us. So we're getting these storms one after another, and we have the triggers, certainly these fronts that move through, and we have the environment, which is this hot, humid weather. And so, yes, I'm glad the farmers are happy about this. We're certainly not lacking in rain. It rains every few days, it seems. Maybe it's the perfect amount if you're growing corn, but my lawn is just, I don't know. I'm getting mushrooms growing on it. It's very confusing.
Well, the good news is you don't have to water your lawn for a really long time.
That is true.
The moisture is just going to be absorbed, and it's just going to be so saturated for such a long time. Looking at green grass for a really long time. Of course, it is summer, and we'll get more downpours in the next couple of months as well. That's what summer is known for, thunderstorm season. Back on track to Ottawa, not like literally approaching the next 10 minutes or so is this line of severe thunderstorms. It's becoming a bit more of a squall line. We're seeing the strong winds. Orleans as well. You're already into a little bit of that heavier rainfall. Canada, Richmond, Franktown, Perth, even down towards Shabbat Lake and Verona, you're seeing some thunderstorms as well along that boundary, and up towards Hawkesbury as well, some rain. Curran as well. But any area along this boundary that I've drawn here on the screen, you're looking at a little bit of some strong winds with those heavy downpours. So definitely, if you are out on the roads, definitely take your time and leave a lot more space with the car in front of you.
Yeah, and once it gets dark, it just gets that much worse on the roads. You can't see how deep the water is. If there's ponding on the roads, that can be a real problem. If you're getting passed by a transport truck, even a pickup truck sometimes can be pretty brutal when you can't see anything. So, I mean, my suggestion, if you don't have to travel, don't. Of course, not everybody has that luxury, and they have to get where they have to get, but this is not going to be fun weather to travel in. I mean, I'll take this over snow anytime, Melinda, but still, it doesn't make it that much easier. So severe thunderstorm warning now for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham. We were talking about those areas around the eastern GTA, Pickering, Oshawa, and southern Durham region. Thanks to Alman, who's been handing me some of these warnings. I really appreciate it. So Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham, Pickering, Oshawa, and southern Durham region. 90 kilometer per hour wind gusts. The severe thunderstorm is located near Mount Joy, and it's moving east at 50 kilometers per hour. The locations impacted include Markham, Pickering, Ajax, Mount Zion, Brooklyn, Unionville, and Mount Joy. So those are the areas that are expected to be impacted by this line of storms that's moving again at about 50 kilometers per hour.
All right, well, you will quickly just zoom in over across the GTA. Just making sure we got everything organized on our screen. Just going to put you in current time. Hopefully they populate on this one. They're not really populating here, but I will show you in a moment the other regions that the actual warnings rather where they are being updated.
Oh, you mean the severe thunderstorm warning hasn't popped up on the screen
right.
yet? Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. So when it does pop up, you'll see an area in red, and those are the areas that are under the warning. But you can tell from this particular radar where that heavy rain is and where those storms are.
Yeah, so definitely look like it's lining out. We can see a little bit of some lightning here near Uxbridge, Goodwood, Epsom. You're seeing some lightning towards you. Heavy rainfall now moving over Markham, South Brampton, Bramley region into the Malton area as well. Right over the international airport, we're seeing some rain throughout Mississauga, and even Milton is getting a little bit of some heavy rainfall there as well. So lots of regions included in this. I will move to another map where we can see the current warnings, and here they are populated.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that might be delays then for some who are flying out of Pearson in the next little bit. So again, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham, Pickering, Oshawa, and Southern Durham region are all currently under this severe thunderstorm warning. And the areas that are impacted include Markham, Pickering, Ajax, Mount Zion, Brooklyn, Unionville, and Mount Joy as this storm moves east at about 50 kilometers per hour.
All right, perfect. We're just awaiting another picture from Bob Cajun. I don't see it as yet, but we're just awaiting that photo. We can show it to you of just the heavy amounts of rainfall across that area. So let's take a look here. Bob Cajun, you're seeing that rainfall current time. Just zoom in here. Lots of places to keep on track.
Yes. It's not just one spot here, as we can see. Maybe there's a few areas under warnings, but there are many more storms not warned right now, but bringing that heavy amount of rain. And again, we're looking at a few places that are popular for people with cottages or camping. I think we have some video as well of some hail in eastern Ontario that we're going to bring up just to show you. You can see everything's already muddy, saturated. This is in Dunrobin, famously hit by a tornado. Not this time around, but there have been warnings for the area. And again, seeing that hail coming down with that storm. So not super large hail, looks like pea-sized from this particular video, but yes, the ground is soaking.
Yeah, this one here is from the Lachute region from earlier today, where we did have tornado warnings in that region. Once again, the tornado warning cells, these will be confirmed if there was an actual tornado warning in this region here. The Northern Tornado Projects will go out and assess all the damage. But this is just a visual out from, looks like a smaller airport. They took the visuals.
Just incredible when you see that. You know, there are a couple of ways that a tornado warning is issued. One is that forecasters, meteorologists are looking at the radar and they can see the signature of what looks like rotation, and they will issue a tornado warning based on that. And the other way is that a storm spotter will see a tornado on the ground or maybe a funnel cloud and will report that. Sometimes they just have to see the video and they know that that person can be trusted. They know that that's a real tornado on the ground, and this is somebody who is obviously educated in storm chasing, and that's another way that a tornado warning will be issued, because we know that tornadoes can happen very quickly out of severe thunderstorms. Not every severe thunderstorm will produce one, but when they happen very fast, and that's why usually tornado warnings happen, with very little warning, but better than it used to be, Melinda.
Absolutely right, Kim. This was from a few hours ago, where you can clearly see the rain curtain there over East Bob Cajun, rather. Heavy amounts of rainfall move through. We're looking at another round as well, currently ongoing, but just to get a view of how moist the atmosphere is, and we're seeing all that rain just moving right over Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah, I mean, those photos are always so dramatic when you see the downpours in the distance. They look otherworldly. This is what it looks like on the radar. Not quite as dramatic, but still, we've got a lot going on here, Melinda. I mean, there's not just one spot that's being impacted. All of those areas in red are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning, and we can see lines of storms, we can see individual cells as well, just so much rain.
Yes, it is, especially along the squall line, which we are tracking here. So parts Ottawa, you'll be seeing this rain slowly moving in. Carleton Place already seeing heavy amounts of moisture as well. And then even towards the east, Alfred, down towards Mirabel, Laval, you're seeing some heavy rainfall moving through St. Jerome shortly as well. Hawkesbury, some more heavy rainfall is currently all over top of you, but more of this rain is all on the way. It's moving in a northeast direction, And we'll head over to Cottage Country as well, where we're seeing a little bit of some cells moving through Bobcaygeon, Minden, Halliburton, down towards Deep River, even into parts of northern Quebec, Val-d'Or, east of Amos as well. And then, of course, down across the GTA, we are tracking these lines of storms, which some regions are warned as well. North of Markham, Concord, Vaughan, Stouffville region, Richmond Hill in the thick of it as well.
And this is the worst possible time, right? When we're looking at the time, it's coming up on 4:30. This is prime commute time. We think of 5 o'clock, but we know that it really starts around 3:30, I think, in the GTA. So now we're talking about all these cars on the road, heavy downpours. I'm hoping that everyone's going to take it really slow out there, because this is the kind of day where we can see accidents because of poor visibility, because of hydroplaning on the road. Don't rule that out. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've had it happen. There's going to be a lot of ponding as well. So this is one of those days. It's not snow. It's not a snowstorm. And I think maybe because of that, people aren't quite as cautious as they would be in the winter time. But again, this kind of weather can get really slippery. And of course, if your windshield wipers aren't great, the visibility can become poor in a heartbeat.
Yeah, especially in these areas with the darker reds, the purples, that's where the rain is coming down at such a faster rate, Kim. So many areas, the 400, seeing a little bit of some light rain just north of Concord, down towards Brampton, still seeing a little bit of rain, north end of Mississauga as well. I did mention the Milton region, and then heading east, places like Uxbridge, north of Stouffville, you'll be seeing the rain in a few moments as well. And this line, this is going to be tracking southward, Kim, so that's why we have Environment Canada issued a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Ajax. It's going to be moving down south, impacting Oshawa and down towards Throne, even Bowmanville as well.
Okay, so when we say is happening or is imminent for you in Oshawa and Ajax, that means it's imminent. So it's coming. It's not on your doorstep just yet, but it's giving you the heads up that these storms are tracking in your direction. So now we've got a couple of airports being impacted. Mirabel, you were showing that in Quebec. Of course, there's an airport there. Pearson Airport with the storms moving through. So likely, if you're planning on escaping, a lot of people traveling this time of year as well, there may be some delays in your flight because of the storms that are happening right now.
Yeah, this is also going to be impacting the commute, as we're just getting after 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, especially for parts of the DVP, the 400, the 401. Heavy amounts of rainfall is on the way, especially across the east end of the GTA, like we mentioned in the next hour. Places like Ajax, Oshawa, Bowmanville, you'll be seeing the heavy rainfall right now. This is where we're tracking the ongoing heavy rain. And then, of course, tracking back towards eastern Ontario, where we're tracking the squall-like system moving through, and that's going to bring in heavy rainfall to Ottawa in around the next 20 to 30 minutes, Kim.
Severe thunderstorm warning has ended now for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham, and that's because the storm's already gone through, but continues for Pickering, Oshawa, and southern Durham County, or Durham region rather. Pickering, Oshawa, southern Durham region are all currently under the severe thunderstorm warning. The hazard wind gusts of 90 kilometers per hour. The locations impacted right now, Mount Zion, Brooklyn, Balsam, and Ashburn. So if you're in one of those communities, that's where these storms are tracking. You're zooming in right now on the area. So our warning has gotten a little bit smaller, and that's because the storms have moved out of one area and into another. And that's what happens with warnings. They'll pop up when the storms approach, and then they'll be dropped. But you may still be in that severe thunderstorm watch, meaning that another round could be on the way.
Yeah, absolutely right. We'll take a quick look here at the radar once again, just showing you what's ongoing with the heavy rainfall. We're seeing that rain across parts of the GTA, also across the nation's capital as we head into the next 20 to 30 minutes. Kim, Hawkesbury seeing heavy rain as well, down towards Laval. Montreal, you'll be looking at some rain moving in shortly, and then down towards parts of Niagara region, looking at a few cells not warned, but in the severe watch region as well. And then down towards just east of Port Stanley, a little bit of some rain impacting those regions like Tillsonburg as well. So very widespread, Kim, like you mentioned, in terms of the rainfall. Heavy amounts up towards western Quebec, Val d'Or, Amos in that region. Mattagami seeing some lighter rainfall. Timmins for you as well, down towards that region. Kirkland Lake, potentially, you'll be looking at some rain moving your way in the next half an hour to an hour.
We've got Mark Robinson, our storm hunter, has been chasing these storms in eastern Ontario. We've been following along with him as he travels under the heavy rain. Okay, Mark, where are you now? And tell me how it's been. It looks like a little bit less precipitation than the last time we chatted.
Yeah, you should have been here 5 minutes ago, Kim. Yeah, coming down the 416. I'm actually going a little bit south, because I wanted to get a little ways down the road to where this outflow boundary is, and that's what you're seeing in front of me right now. You see the edge of the clouds? That is where the edge of the cold pool, so the edge of the cold air is sitting right in front of me. If I'm south of that, you'll be able to turn around, likely see a shelf cloud underneath there, or on the other side of that. As well, that's where the good fuel for the storms is, just south here. There's another set of storms that are sort of moving along through that area, and that's sort of where I want to get to watch those other storms that are coming up towards Ottawa, and maybe even just south of Ottawa. So we're talking about Perth, we're talking about Kemptville, those areas as these storms are sort of moving towards the east. But of course, behind that is that other line of storms. Now, some of the models originally had that storms that are moving through Apsley and Cohill down towards Bobcaygeon. Those storms were sort of likely to be the stronger of the two. But I think that these storms, and I see this quite often, as these storms move through, these early storms move through, it sort of wrings all the energy out of the atmosphere. And these ones, I think, are going to be the stronger. This first line is going to be the stronger. So I'm going to see if I can catch one more line of storms before it gets too late and these storms really start to die off of it.
Okay, Mark, stay safe out there. Thanks for giving us an update of what you're seeing, what people are experiencing. Yes, he's getting a break right now, but as you heard, those downpours can come really quickly and then move out. We're starting to get into the latter half of the day, which is good news in a lot of ways. Earlier when we had the rounds of rain in Hamilton, then in between the sun came out, and that's usually a problem. Like when you think, oh great, the sun is shining, that's adding more energy to the atmosphere, and then you have the better risk of seeing severe storms. So here's the areas that again are in the severe thunderstorm warning. We can see them all popping up at the end of this. And again, the warnings are following that line of storms. So we still have them around the Pickering, Oshawa, and southern Durham region. They're now out of Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham.
Yeah, you can see this line slowly sinking down south, which is why the area for the warnings have shrunken. Not really meeting that criteria towards parts of Mississauga, North York, Concord, even parts of Brampton as well. We're just seeing the rain, a little bit of lightning with this as well, some strong winds as well, but the more heavier rain, especially with the flooding we had last week because the soil is already so saturated, the ground, this is why those regions, including Oshawa, are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this is definitely going to slow down your commute as we head into the next hour or so across parts of the GTA and also throughout regions of Ottawa where we're tracking these storms. I'll just quickly zoom in here into local time, Kim. Yeah, we're seeing that literally approaching right now down towards the downtown region, Buckingham, Canada, Richmond, Carleton Place. Heavy rain is moving through. Hawkesbury looks like quite a bit of a cluster now, but still heavy rainfall. So definitely take your time out on all the major highways and roads.
And these are areas that already had heavy rain earlier today. This is round after round. This is what leads to flooding in some areas where you just don't get a break, and the rain doesn't have a chance to get absorbed anywhere. So we're likely going to be seeing some flooding around here, at least localized flooding. And again, because of the timing of this, not great. We're talking about the afternoon drive. It's going to be difficult on the roads. Back roads, you're going to be fine, but the main highways, that's what I'm more concerned about, where the visibility is poor. You get a lot of this spray from the bigger vehicles, from the transport trucks, and it's going to be hard to see. Hydroplaning is a possibility. You get a lot of concrete where that rain is not going to be absorbed, and quickly it can pool. Now, sometimes it disappears or dissipates as quickly as it shows up, and that's good news. But if you're stuck in the middle of it, this is going to be a bit tricky. Okay, now we have a tornado watch.
Yeah, this just in. Tornado watch has been issued by Environment Canada for all these regions here located in the brown color on your screen. Along the QE2, the Pocono, Red Deer, Innisfail, Olds, Carstairs, Airdrie, Drumheller, Big Valley, Settler, Donalda. So if you are in any of these regions, it's really close to touching the city of Calgary as well. So have a plan, stay alert, because the conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes. We're seeing a bit more wind shear within this region, and also Environment Canada is as well, as to why they have issued this watch.
Okay, so a watch right now, not a tornado warning. But again, meteorologists, forecasters looking at the scenario and saying the possibility is there. We did have a severe thunderstorm watch for the region, now a tornado watch, not a warning. Again, but within this area, a warning may be issued. I like that they do this now, tornado watches, just to give people a heads up, because often when it comes to tornadoes, you don't have a lot of time. So now is the time to be prepared. If you had plans to be outdoors or to be on the road, maybe put those off just because of the scenario. I don't want to tell people what to do, but again, at least if people are aware that the possibility of a tornado developing at some point this afternoon is there, then they may make alternate arrangements.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. Just getting my maps in order so we can show you what's ongoing. Watches include parts of the city of Edmonton, St. Albert, Drayton Valley, Leduc, Lloydminster, Fort McMurray. These are all the current severe thunderstorm watches in place. Not updating on our computer here, Kim.
The tornado watch just south there.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But the watch is having a bit of trouble here. I'll quickly pull in something else so we can see maybe if this one works, just to give the viewers. Here we go. This is perfect. So that graphic is a little bit delayed, Kim, but overall this is what we're tracking. And then yeah, you can see the arrow here, the area rather, between Edmonton and Red Deer. We're looking at watches in place for thunderstorms and a tornado potential.
And we're going to bring BC into the mix now too, with severe thunderstorm warnings in place. It looks like now between Prince George and Quesnel. So yeah, no shortage of active weather. We definitely need the rain in BC and in Alberta. The rain is welcome because of the wildfire situation in these two provinces. The lightning is not welcomed. That's a problem. And of course, anyone who is under a severe thunderstorm in general, it's going to be a problem when it comes to damaging hail and the damaging winds, that kind of thing. So yes, we say bring on the rain. It is needed, but I know for regular homeowners or pedestrians or residents, it could be a real issue to have severe thunderstorms over top of you. And this is an area that tends to see larger than average hail as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. Large hail is one of the main factors. Some strong winds, some heavy rainfall as well is definitely possible. Any area in yellow, we have the threat to see non-severe storms, but looks like the criteria is now becoming a bit more widespread, which is why they have issued the current tornado watch. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. We will monitor the situation. If it does upgrade to a tornado warning, we will be here giving you all of the upcoming details. Also going to be bringing some heavy rain into the next 2 to 3 days across parts of northern Alberta. And of course, within thunderstorms, Kim, we can see heavy localized rainfall in a short amount of time.
Yeah, there could be some localized flooding as a result when we're looking at those big numbers, 75 to 100 millimeters. Now, this rain is over a few days, so that's good. It's like, let's stretch this out. You don't want all of that falling in a couple of hours, although with thunderstorms, and if there is heavy rain at the time, you may see 50 plus millimeters, but in this case, we're talking about a few days of rain. Let's move it back to Ontario, the famous, or maybe we're not. I thought we were going to show Bob Cajun there for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, we are. No, that's okay. I just saw the photo from Bob Cajun, but there is the look at the Parliament buildings. My
wow.
goodness, how dramatic is that over Ottawa? Look at that cloud. My goodness. And there's the downpour. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. So the rain curtain you were speaking about earlier, East Bob Cajun, made famous by the tragically hip. Heavy downpours. When you look in the distance and this is what you see, that's what it is. It's just this burst of rain.
All right, so now I'll just talk quickly about the storms in Ottawa before we head back to the east, or the west rather, and we will give you a bit more insight onto why the tornado watch has been issued and what the current dynamics are. But first, over parts of eastern Ontario, this is what we're tracking, the heavy rain moving over Ottawa into Smiths Falls, Cartland Place as well, Manotick, Buckingham, Gatineau. Heavy rain is imminent. It is moving through the region. Some strong winds are also possible. Might be getting some visuals from that region as we head into the next couple of hours as well. Laval, Montreal, St. Jerome, Pincourt, you're all seeing this heavy rain that continues to move through across parts of eastern Ontario and southern Quebec. Now let's head over down towards the south of the GTA, where we're also tracking this line of thunderstorms, which continues to slowly make its way down south. Now, it's impacting currently Markham, Uxbridge, down towards the south. I'll just quickly, let's see if we can get to the latest time here. Just quickly refresh the graphic so we can get current time. GTA. But Kim, this is definitely something we don't really need. More heavy rainfall across parts of Toronto.
No, exactly. This is the East GTA primarily that we're looking at. So again, places like Vaughan, Richmond Hill, or those areas out, Pickering, Oshawa, Southern Durham, and we're talking about strong winds and heavy rain. So this is the most populated area in the entire country, right? We're talking about the GTA, and we're talking about the busiest time on the roads. Almost 4:45 in the afternoon, people are heading home, and this is a really bad combination. So heavy amounts of rain, strong winds, the potential for hail, and people on the roads, the busiest highways at the busiest time of day. I want to say that because it's the summer that fewer people are on the roads, but I haven't seen that. I haven't noticed that. It seems like as many as ever are driving around. Of course, a popular spot to be. People vacation here too. And so this is going to be a tricky and slow commute home for a lot of folks. That's one thing. Yes, people are used to a slow drive home. The problem is I don't want it to be because somebody was hydroplaning, someone went too fast, someone couldn't see because the rain was coming down so heavily. So this can become quite dangerous. And we're talking about an area that is concrete. And so when we have 50 plus millimeters of rain falling all at once, concrete doesn't absorb rain, and then we get the flooding. And we've already seen that, Melinda. We were talking about the DVP earlier on in Toronto, saw one lane completely flooded out last week, a real problem with so many highways and major arteries in the GTA flooded because of that heavy rain. And here we go again. I'm not saying this is the exact same amount, obviously, but you know, it's just not a great spot and not great timing. Yeah,
absolutely right, Kim. Now, in terms of the GTA, in terms of the rain here, Brampton, you're out of the rain. We're seeing a little bit of some light rain across Streetsville, York, North York, Forest Hill, Scarborough, Don Mills as well, seeing a little bit more heavier rainfall. Heading a bit more east, we are tracking heavy rain, Pickering north of there as well. Myrtle Station, Ajax, you're going to be seeing this heavy rainfall very shortly. Port Perry as well. Up towards the north, Lindsay, another region we have been talking about seeing heavy rain. Bob Cajun, another round. This is that same cell that we talked about probably around 20 minutes ago. It's now becoming quite more strong. Buck North, and this extends all the way into Bancroft. This is along the cold front. We had all the ingredients. We had the moisture. We had the instability. Cold front is the trigger. Those are the three main ingredients to build a severe thunderstorm across the region. And now it looks like parts of the city of Toronto, downtown, you'll be getting into a little bit some of this heavier rain as we head into the next 20 to 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? The warm front is the leading air of a warmer air mass, and not only is it warm, but it's also really moisture laden, so a lot of humidity. So that comes through first. We saw some storms triggered along that warm front, and now the cold front follows behind it. It's leading into this very hot, soupy air mass, and it's the leading edge of cooler, drier air. Now those two things start to clash, and yes, it means it's going to clear out the air. It's going to feel a lot fresher for folks, but the price you pay is the storms that we're seeing today. So unfortunately, we have had tornado warnings in Ontario and Quebec, none at the moment, but we've also had a lot of heavy downpours in places that have already been saturated with rain this month.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. The good news is behind the cold front, things are going to be drying out a bit. We are going to be getting into a little bit more fresher air for the overnight for the most part. But we'll just have to continue to watch because feels like values in Huminex will still be where they have been, especially as we enter the first week of July. Temperatures currently, look at that cool down. Ottawa was around that 23 degrees, I believe.
Yep.
Yep, now at 18 degrees, so that rain has definitely cooled us down. Parts of Toronto as well, definitely starting to see that cool down. Let's see if the winds have changed. Yep, 50 kilometer per hour winds, 63 in Kingston, so starting to get a little bit more on the gustier side across parts of Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah, not surprising when we see that line of storms, that's likely going to bring some strong winds as well. These are specific weather stations that are reporting these wind gusts. This is not to say that areas in between aren't seeing winds even stronger than this. I know that people will say, oh, I'm sure it was windier than that where I live, and that's certainly a possibility. And when we get this kind of rain, it can cool down the atmosphere. So Pearson Airport at 21 degrees, we know it was a lot warmer earlier on, and plus the humidity, but that rain can really make it feel fresh. But sometimes, and especially if it was earlier in the day, it would cool down and then warm right back up again. I know it did that in Hamilton. Looks like we have our storm hunter again. Is that correct, Manny? Or, okay. Yeah, so Mark Robinson has been out and following these storms as they happen, got caught in the rain at one point. Sky still looking very dark. And of course, we know it's 10 to 5. In the afternoon, Eastern, and it should not be this dark if it was a regular day. But what are you seeing, Mark?
Kim, it was really interesting. I wanted to get down to where the edge of the outflow boundary is, and usually the storms sort of run along those boundaries. But the storms sort of are back in the colder area, like the more stable air, but they're still going pretty good, producing lots of lightning, but sort of between about halfway up the 416 towards Ottawa. And that's where I'm driving back towards, and you can kind of see, like in the camera now, you can get a little bit of a look off to the left side. And that's sort of a lowered area there. That's the part I'm looking at. There's some definite good cores ahead of me. And these storms are sort of running along and sort of maybe going to be just south of the Ottawa region as they move through. Now that's sort of that's the last part of this first line. We're going to see that second line, and I don't know how well it's how good the atmosphere is going to be for that second line to feed on it. I know that we had a lot of the models were saying that that line that's sort of sitting way back just north of Peterborough, that one was supposed to be the stronger one, but I think this line here may have killed that off. But you know, as I said, you can see ahead of us, there it is, as we're sort of coming around the corner there. You can sort of see into that thunderstorm that I'm aiming for, which at this point is right near the town of Cars.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like you're going in the right direction there, Mark, if you're looking for this storm. And as Mark was talking about, sometimes the atmosphere will lose energy because one line of storms comes through and just sucks it all out. And so regardless if you have another setup for more storms, they may not be as strong as the first line, depending on how much energy was taken away from the atmosphere.
Yeah, Kim, from the radar, we're tracking very strong winds that are continuing to impact parts of Mason, Navan, Greeley, just outside of Osgood, Manotick as well.
Look at that line.
Yeah, woo. Very strong. I'm going to quickly bring it up here as well so the viewers can take a look at what's going on. And I'll just quickly draw it as well just to make things a little bit more easier. But we're seeing this right about here. So Ottawa, you're in the clear for the most part, but anywhere along this line, that's where we're tracking. Yeah, very strong winds.
It's heading towards a place like Kenmore, Russell, Vars. You're all on the path of this storm. Sarsfield is in there as well. Clarence, Rockland, Thurso, you're in it. So yes, so this is all moving eastward. And we can see that obviously this is bringing strong winds and heavy rain, and this entire area is warned. So anywhere in red that you're looking at, that is under a severe thunderstorm warning. You can see a few areas behind it are still in the warned area, but nothing's happening there. So that, you know, it could mean that it's already come and gone, or it could mean that the warned area, the warning area, is a large county or a large region, and sometimes the entire region is put under the warning regardless if you're threatened by a storm.
Looks like the warnings across the east end of the GTA has now dropped as well.
Okay.
So we are just looking at the potential for some of that heavier rainfall to move through. So current look here at some of the watches and warnings. Watches are in still remain, but the warning, this is the current warnings ongoing, stretching from just north of Kingston, Westport, Smiths Falls, Carson Place, Russell, Ottawa, Low, all the way into Joliet.
Okay, so there's our severe thunderstorm warning all along that line of storm. Some of it's a little messier than others. Some have lined out, as you were pointing out, and with that line of storms, that's where we're talking about potentially damaging winds. And again, this is prime commute time. We're just before 5 o'clock. It's about 6 minutes before 5 p.m. And again, people would be on the road at this time. And now we're talking about heavy amounts of rain all around the greater Ottawa area, certainly, and farther south as well. Let's head west now, because you have your own set of issues in Alberta and British Columbia. We've had wildfires, of course, that's been an issue, some extreme heat, and now we're talking about the potential of not only severe thunderstorms, but there is a tornado watch in place for parts of Alberta.
Yes, a tornado watch is in effect, so this means to have a plan and stay alert. Now, here are just some of our risk maps that we are tracking. Some of the regions here across the Edmonton area along the QE2 is where we're looking at severe possible storms, as well as Environment Canada. That's why they have issued the tornado watches as well. For Thursday, a more broad risk as this frontal system continues to move through Edmonton, Fort McMurray, the north end of Saskatchewan. For Thursday, this is the region where we are going to be tracking storms. Why are we seeing the storms? Well, we have a boundary, that potent, very strong ridge of high pressure that dominated over BC for the longest time. It's slowly moving east. We're getting into a little bit more fresher air across parts of central and northern BC, but you can see there the reds indicating the heavy or the strong ridge of high pressure, and along this boundary where a little bit of that trough moves in, that is the boundary that sets up the perfect ring of fire, so to say, when we have a strong ridge and a trough above it.
Yeah, imagine it's like a highway that storms can travel on. So when
Right.
we're looking at the jet stream, they just hop right on there and travel along it. And that's why northern areas, especially of Alberta, are going to be in for some significant rain over the next few days. Now, we do have a tornado watch. We're talking about that. We've got severe thunderstorm watch in place, which includes the city of Edmonton. But there's also a lot of smoke in the atmosphere because of the wildfires. And often when you have that kind of a scenario, it usually lessens the risk of severe weather. The smoke tends to do that, but we're still looking at some potential for severe weather regardless of the wildfire smoke that's in the area.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the smoke is kind of like a cap, which does not allow the thunderstorms to develop. But we are seeing rain along this boundary. Here's a look as we head into the next couple of hours. West of Edmonton, rather, in the Elbow region, up towards Cold Lake as we head into your pre-dawn Thursday morning. So we're looking at the heavy amounts of thunderstorms that could develop as well. Down towards the south, this model is not picking up on the risk of severe thunderstorms that we could be looking at, but also it's not picking up on the wind shear aspect, which is why Environment Canada has issued that tornado watch, because there is a little bit of wind shear in this area. In the Brown region, we'll get to that in a moment there, but that is the area at play where we're most concerned about, because there is the potential for tornadoes developing. Heading into late Thursday, into the most part of your day, the risk continues for those strong storms, but it's also going to be accompanied by heavy amounts of rainfall.
You know, sometimes when forecasts are being made, a lot of it depends on what the models are saying, what the weather models, but some of it also has to do with the experience of the forecaster. So an actual human being looking at what is transpiring and can say, okay, you know what, the models may not see it, but I know that this is going to likely happen. And so then they can take that and perhaps issue a watch or a warning. So we're looking at the different colors on that screen. So the red was the severe thunderstorm warning, yellow being the severe thunderstorm watch. And in that brown color, that's a tornado watch, not a tornado warning. If a tornado warning is issued, of course, we want you to take cover immediately. A tornado watch means heads up, there is potential for the development of some kind of rotation today.
Absolutely right. Now, we were just mentioning, Kim, about the smoke in the atmosphere that can help inhibit storms. Now, we're going to be seeing a lot of it, and yes, it's going to be into the upper levels of our atmosphere. So you can see it's actually circling around that low pressure system. I'll quickly just play it out again.
That's interesting.
Yeah, keep your eye on here, because the smoke is in not only at the surface, but in the upper levels of our atmosphere, and it's swirling around the winds associated with the low pressure system. And yes, potentially moving that smoke out of Alberta by the weekend and pushing it into parts of Saskatchewan and even the north end of Manitoba.
Yeah, and that smoke has been traveling across the border into southern Ontario as well, like across the international border, so hitting areas stateside, making its way all the way into places like southern Ontario. We've been noticing it, those hazy skies, as well as those bright orange sunrises and sunsets, and all of that has to do with smoke from wildfires that are burning in Western Canada. So, I mean, it's a big country, but we often share in our environment or in our weather. Storms that start in Alberta can race across and impact areas of Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes as well.
Yeah, absolutely right, Kim. We'll take another dive back down to Ontario and Quebec, where storms continue to on go. Let's quickly just jump in here and see local time. Currently 4:50 was the last scan across parts of the GTA. Ajax, like we mentioned, heavy rain moving in down towards Brimley, Scarborough, Oshawa. Anticipate that in the next few minutes. Whitby, you're seeing that line starting to move in as well. Port Perry, Myrtle Station, and then we'll track over Lindsay, Blackwater, Buckhorn, Bobcaygeon. Now starting to see a little bit more of relief from that rain. Apsley as well, Bancroft, another line there for you. And I'll quickly move over into the nation's capital, before we head over to Mark, who is there, and he can give us a little bit more visuals of what's ongoing. Ottawa looking to be a little bit in the clear now, still seeing some light rain, but the heavy rain, the strong winds now coming to an end.
Okay, that's good news. I think we're going to go to Mark Robinson, our storm hunter, who made his way east for these storms specifically. And I saw in preview, Mark, a few flashes of lightning. Is that what I saw? Is that what you're driving into right now?
That in traffic, yes. Yeah, we're definitely, it's 5 o'clock, so I'm pretty far south of the main part of the city. I'm down near Cars, so I headed over towards Metcalfe, that area. And you can see, this is the line now, so you can see it's lost a bit of its oomph. Not a lot of wind in here, but it is slowing down the traffic, which, is actually quite a good thing, because it means that people are taking this seriously. I don't want to see cars in ditches. I really don't want to have to film people, with that sort of thing. So I'm just going a little bit east to see if I can get ahead of this line, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. It is moving towards the east fairly quickly. So what I might end up doing is turning around to see what that next line is going to do as it gets closer to Ottawa. That's going to be in a little later, probably closer to 7 o'clock. But definitely, just these lines of thunderstorms are definitely keeping everybody on their toes today, as well as giving us that much more rain for areas that probably are getting a little bit tired of that rain. Kim?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to tell me that the plants are loving it anymore. I mean, they've had a lot. The plants should be very happy in the east. In the west, I can understand you want some of this rain. You might not want it in the form of severe weather. Of course, nobody does, I don't think, unless maybe you're a storm chaser, and then that's fine. But certainly this is the part of the country that has seen their fair share, has been on the storm track for at least much of the summer, at least all of July. And we're talking about more of that today. So this is where we anticipated the most severe weather to be. This is our risk map, not a watch or a warning. But again, the area in red, the target for the most severe weather. In fact, we anticipated some tornado warnings. We have had those. Nothing confirmed yet, but we've seen some pretty interesting, if not impactful, photos and videos so far, Melinda, today.
Yes, we did, Kim. Along that warm front, that is what brought in the tornado warning cells that we saw earlier today. The ingredients came right together. Now the cold front slowly draped southward, and that is what we are tracking, or did track rather, across parts of Toronto, now impacting the east end of the GTA. Now I'll quickly go through the timing as we head into the overnights and the evening hours. There is that line still developing a cluster of storms across parts of southern Quebec and impacting areas across Windsor, Chatham, potentially a few pop-up cells that may move over the international border there. Quickly zoom in so we can get a better look here. So by 8-9 p.m. there's a chance to see a little bit of some cells moving through the Sarnia, Leamington region. Most of the GTA will be looking clear, but yes, there's a chance to see a little bit of a light shower, a pop-up storm in nature to move through, and then parts of along the St. Lawrence here, Brockville, Cornwall, into the overnight hours. But this cluster of storms remains. Lots of energy as that low pressure system moves through. It's going to hold it as well. Clearing out for Timmins. You can also see the cloud cover starting to move out as well. So a little bit more clearer skies across parts of southern Ontario into your pre-dawn Thursday.
Looks like, I'm going to lose my voice here, looks like in the west too that we're getting some clearing over Alberta, and that could be problematic when it comes to severe weather. So that's the area that we have our tornado watch in place. And again, we were talking about the idea that cloud cover, certainly wildfire smoke, that can all usually diminish the risk of severe weather. But when you get some clearing, when you get some sunshine, when you get the energy of the sun, that's when you can see those storms really start to develop.
I'm going to see if I can go over to the south and see if we can get a little bit of some coverage, because some of the models, some of the radars and satellites don't really go over parts of the south, but we can see if I just quickly look here, Calgary, Saskatoon, there's lots of instability. The thunderstorm energy is there. Can't really take a look at the clearing on this specific model, but yeah, like you mentioned, once we get clearing, we can get into the daytime heating. Keep in mind, Alberta is 2 hours behind Ontario, so they're in mountain time. That's around 3 p.m. mountain time, 5 p.m. Eastern time currently. So they're getting into the thick of their afternoon temperatures. The clearing will definitely help with the instability to build, the cloud cover to build, with creating the new storms that we will be tracking, especially because we have a tornado watch in place for Airdrie, yep, I said it right the first time.
You
up
did?
towards the Red Deer parts on the Pocono. I can't say that quickly. I'm getting slurred here.
Panoka.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Panoka.
And as long as my voice hangs out, after about 2 hours of straight talking, Melinda, it starts to say, you know what, I've had enough. So that's our tornado watch. Again, not a warning, but more of a heads up that there's the possibility of tornadoes to develop. And I like this idea of giving people the watch. Tornadoes are never guaranteed, but the more heads up that people have, the better the chances of them being prepared for anything severe or dangerous. And that's why Environment and Climate Change Canada have issued this watch, because they want to make sure that people are prepared for the worst. Certainly we have widespread severe thunderstorm watches as well, including the city of Edmonton, and it looks like we've got a warning now as well. So south of Fort McMurray, there's an area currently under severe thunderstorm warning. I'll have to check on where that is. And then severe thunderstorm warnings in the BC interior as well, through Prince George and Quesnel. So those areas also looking at a severe thunderstorm warning.
All right, Kim, let's take a look here at the current scan. This is just after 5 p.m., I believe, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I will quickly change. So that's 3 p.m. Mountain time for those. A bit more of a cluster approaching Quesnel, Prince George, just west of the highway there. Quesnel.
Yep.
And then over we have a current severe thunderstorm warning. It's not populating here. This graphic's a little bit on the slow side, but we can see just southeast of Hinton, a cell is developing. So this is definitely where we're going to be tracking cells developing off of the Rockies and pushing east into the next couple of hours.
Okay, so things are just starting to get brewing across the West. I know we're live streaming now. After this, we will be on TV, and you can catch all of your weather there as well. So a few areas, obviously, of severe criteria. We've got what's happening in BC and Alberta, Northwest Territories, the risk of thunderstorms there too, and then in Ontario and Quebec. And I wanted to mention too, Melinda, I know you touched on this earlier, that the severe weather that's happening in parts of Ontario and Quebec right now will be heading east towards eastern Quebec and New Brunswick for Thursday, and this is the area then that we'll be paying closer attention to. So just so you know now, if you live in these areas, the stormy weather is coming your way. These systems tend to move from west to east, so this is a typical pattern. Right now we don't have any areas in red. That means we don't suspect tornadoes, but torrential rain, the large hail, and the strong wind gusts will all likely be ingredients if you do see these storms.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly pull up a map here if we have it at play so we can take a look at the storms moving in. I'll just quickly change the timing a little bit so we can take a look. Perfect. So these is current time, and then you can start to see a little bit of that warm front initiating some storms across the eastern townships as we head into the next couple of hours. And then as we head into Thursday, that cluster moves through. You can see that warm front starting to lift as well. So parts of Edmonton, Perth, Andover, you'll be seeing some storms as we head into the next couple of hours. Let's take a look here, see if this model moves out. There we go. Perfect. After just around that noon hour, Atlantic time, we'll be looking at some storms moving through. Rainfall is going to be one of the imminent threats here, especially across the Gaspé region, the Gaspésie as well, central parts of New Brunswick. We're even highlighting parts of Nova Scotia, western PEI rather, especially as we head into the later half of the afternoon.
Yeah, and a lot of times when a storm moves through, we're really looking at the time of day that it does that. So if it's in the prime heat of the afternoon, these storms can tend to be more severe because they've had all that energy of the sun heating up the ground throughout the day, and suddenly you get a storm pop up and it can be rather severe. If storms happen late at night or sometimes early in the morning, sure, they can be problematic, but they're usually less intense, and that's because they don't have the same kind of energy. They don't have the heat of the day necessarily. So that's why we really do watch at when these things are going to hit, and we did anticipate for Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec early afternoon. Temperatures are at their warmest. In Alberta, temperatures are at their warmest, 3 in the afternoon. So yeah, that really does make a difference. Storms tend to happen at these hours most frequently, but they also tend to be more severe at this hour.
All right, perfect, Kim. Now, quickly before we end our live stream, just under 5 minutes, we are going to be continuing to track these storms on TV like we mentioned. Ottawa, Perth, Lachute, large areas of southern Quebec are seeing heavy amounts of rainfall as well. Bancroft, that has now moved through. Parts of the GTA, Oshawa, I can mention, seeing that rainfall. Peterborough, you'll be expecting some rain as well once this line here continues to sustain itself. And parts of Val-d'Or, Amos, Timmins as well, you're seeing some rain. But the more potent stuff, the tornado threat rather, is starting to diminish. We're seeing all the rain suck out all that moisture like you mentioned earlier, Kim.
Let's check in one more time with our storm hunter, Mark Robinson. And just because this is our last time checking in on him, it doesn't mean that he has done his storm chasing, because he will chase them whether he's being recorded or not. Mark, let me know, what are your plans for the next few hours?
Well, you can kind of see that the rain is diminished quite a bit, just headed back towards the 416. Maybe back up towards Ottawa. I am watching that second line of storms. It's producing a lot of lightning, so that's kind of interesting. Now, it's a very thin line, so what I'd like to see is the sort of the isolated storms. Those are the ones that can actually become supercellular. This one doesn't really look like it's going to do that, but that's going to make a lot of people happy and make me a little bit like, oh, too bad. But for now, just going to get out of this rain and maybe grab something to eat, but for dinner. Then I'll go check out more storms. So that's sort of the plan for the rest of the day.
Mark, I have a really important question for you. So I rewatched the original Twister the other day, and I noticed that when they went to the aunt's house, that they all had steak dinner. That she made them some, a delicious meal. So I also know that when you storm chase and you catch a tornado, that you have steak, and that's across the board, I think, with tornado chasers. Is that based on the movie, or is it just because you like good steak?
Nah, it's just a thing. We just, but I'm not allowed to steak dinner now because we didn't catch any, tornadoes today. So it's a thing. It's a thing my chase partners and teams love to do. But yeah, I think it's also because, when you're in Kansas, there's some really good steak in Kansas.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to know if it was movie-based or just something that you did. Thank you very much for that important piece of information that I needed to know. Okay, Melinda, let's get back to these storms. No tornadoes to speak of right now. No tornado warnings. We do have one watch in Alberta currently. Otherwise, we're talking about severe thunderstorm warnings across much of Ontario, at least Eastern Ontario.
Yeah, Kim, this is the current ongoing situation. Sorry, widespread storms here. Ottawa, you're now out of the thick of it. The heavy rain is now moving into parts like Russell, Rockland as well. Seeing this cluster across parts of St. Jerome, Montreal, you might be getting a little bit into that heavier rain once again. And then down towards the GTA, we are looking at these storms now starting to be on the east end, Oshawa, down towards Millbrook, Port Perry, Lindsay, Bancroft, Lakefield, Peterborough. You might be getting into these storms as it continues to sustain itself as we head into the next few minutes or so, next half an hour. To be more specific there, north of Kingston, another line. As that line continues to strengthen there, we're looking at some heavier rain moving in. It is warned at this time. Towards the north, Timmins are still seeing a little bit of that rain. Kirkland Lake potentially, if that continues to track eastward, looking at some of that as well. And then east of Val-d'Or and Amos as well. But one of the most important things, Kim, is we're going to continue to track storms across Alberta and BC with this ongoing tornado watch in place for central and southern Alberta.
Yeah, we encourage you to be weather aware. If you're in this region under a tornado watch, make sure that you have your app on your phone, that you know that if an alert is going to be issued, that you're going to be ready for it. Otherwise, then we have severe thunderstorm watches in yellow, including the city of Edmonton. And we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in red in both Alberta and in BC, a watch indicating that we have the right atmosphere for a storm to develop. The warning meaning this is happening right now or is on your doorstep, so it's time to take cover. This is our risk map showing where we suspected severe weather to be. It's pretty much happening where we thought. And again, this is a look. Now, this is an area, Melinda, we've been talking about. It really needs the rain.
It definitely does with the ongoing wildfire situation. Many wildfires of note across parts of Alberta and BC. This is a look at Thursday. That same system set up, a bit more larger area of severe storms possible. I did mention there is good news with this. Yes, we're getting the rain. Bad news is there is the potential for lightning. This is why we're seeing the storms along this active boundary, the jet stream. This is pulling in the moisture. Also seeing a little bit of the daytime heating from this ridge of high pressure, which continues to bring temperatures into the 30s across parts of Western Canada. But rain is on the way, especially for those who need it the most across northern parts of Alberta.
Okay, we're going to wrap up our live stream now. We want to thank you all for joining us as we tracked stormy weather in a couple of different places in this country, certainly Ontario and Quebec, where we had earlier tornado warnings, and in Alberta, where we do have a tornado watch. Please make sure to watch us on the Weather Network on TV. We have our apps, of course, and our website available to you 24/7. And thanks to everybody behind the scenes. Have a good night.